What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, Joey Wright and John Luke Garofalo. How are you guys doing this morning?
Much worse now that you said my name second.
I was about to say, I got second billing. What's going on? I'm moving up.
So it was the movie recommendation you gave me this weekend, knocked you up a notch. Jail, you're going to have to recommend something that releases dopamine into my brain of equal or similar values to that Joey's recommendation did to get your spot back. Guys, joining us today as well, we have a special guest here to play some Fantasy Fortune with us is Chris Towers. You already know this man from his time over at CBS Fantasy, covering multiple sports. Right now, it is baseball season, so you'll find him in baseball mode if you head over to his Twitter at CTowersCBS. But he covers the NFL and NBA as well. Chris, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here. I'm always a little nervous when talk of my Twitter account comes up because I tweet probably too much and not necessarily about the things that I'm supposed to tweet about for work. We were talking before the show about some music tweets that I've had. You know, that those tend to not get me in trouble, but you know, other stuff might.
But they can. Yeah. Well, if you want to go get Chris Towers in trouble, head on over to his Twitter at CTowersCBS and give him a follow. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Craig in here says, I know our FYF hosts aren't the tallest guys in the world, but today's guest really towers over them.
Hey.
We got Albert in here. What's up, Albert? Welcome.
What up, Albert?
Buddy.
Jay in the chat says, let's go. Happy Monday, FYFers. Dame in here saying hello. What's up, Dame? We got Fadey in the chat. Says, hey, peeps, can the draft happen already? Fadey? We're almost there, Fadey.
So close. And
our favorite chat cat, Mr. Scamper, stopping by saying, good afternoon, FYFM. And hi, Chris.
My cat's sleeping behind me, so if she wakes up, we may get an appearance, you know.
Okay. Did you guys know that cats can release a scent that's like a musk from their butt?
100%.
We found that out this weekend. We were like, what is that smell? And I guess it had done it on my arm.
I'd love to watch you just figure that out. Like watch a cat do it and be like, what in the world did that thing just do?
You owned a cat before you knew that?
No, so I'm laying in bed and the cat's laying down. I'm rubbing its belly because this cat lets me rub its belly. Maybe that's why it sprayed me. But I said to my wife, do you smell that? And she's like, no. And I'm like, smell my arm. She's like, no, I'm not going to. And so she would not smell my arm, so she had to take my word for it. And then she pulls the cover up, and the cat had done it, I guess, got on the covers, and it hit her right in the face. So she got it back for not smelling my arm.
Oh.
But that was my night last night, waiting for that stupid Love is Blind thing to start for my wife so she'd be happy.
We have been this week. We're 4 minutes into this week's shows, and we've already brought up cats suppressing their anal glands onto Joey's arm. This is a new record for us to get fully off the rails. I love it. And Green Screens Media popping by in the chat to let us know it's called cheesing. Your cat was cheesing all over you.
It didn't smell like cheese.
That's disgusting.
Well, guys,
that's a terrible name.
It is a terrible name. Today, we brought Chris here to play some Fantasy Fortune with us. Before we get into that, though, a couple reminders. We already mentioned it once. We're going to mention it again, but make sure you're following Chris on Twitter at CTowersCBS. Then head on back over here where you're watching this. If you're on our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy, hit that sub button. We are live every day at our new old time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the Front Yard Fantasy YouTube channel or on the Better Sports Network app or website. You can find us there as well. You guys ready to get into some Fantasy Fortune?
Yeah, let's play.
Let's do this. I'm going to explain the rules. Pull up the screen here, and then we are going to go ahead and get started. Actually, I had the answer to a puzzle up there, so I'm not going to pull the screen up just yet. And I'll explain the rules, and then we are going to get started. The game is Fantasy Fortune, which is a lot like the popular TV show Wheel of Fortune. Except instead of spinning a wheel, contestants are going to be answering 50-50 NFL or fantasy-related trivia questions. If you get the question right, you're going to get to guess a consonant that you think appears somewhere in the puzzle that will be on the board during that round. For every instance of the consonant that shows up, you're adding $500 to your round bank. Now, you can go like this up to 3 times in a row in your turn. That is question right, consonant right, question right, consonant right. You get the idea. But after that third and final turn, you'll have 5 seconds to solve before we move on to the next contestant. Now, during your turn at any time, there are 2 other actions you can take besides answering a question. You can choose to buy a vowel if you have a minimum of 500 in your round bank. They will cost 100 per instance of the vowel that shows up, or you can choose to solve the puzzle at any time except after a question's been asked. You'll get a minimum of $1,000 or the amount in your round bank put into your total bank, whichever one is higher. We'll go like this till we run out of time or run out of puzzles or run out of energy, at which point we will end the stream. And whoever has the most points is our champion for today. Are you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah. I feel like throwing these rules out the window, though.
Just playing no rules on Monday?
Yeah, especially with the first puzzle.
We got Victor in here. Said, happy Monday, bro, chachos. I love Chris with Scott White and Frankie Stamp. Smash that like button.
Let's go.
What's up, Victor? Welcome in, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this puzzle. And Joey, I see what you did now. We are going to throw the rules right out of the window for this very first puzzle because this one is a toss-up to determine the order that we're going to play in. Instead of answering questions, I'm just going to start revealing letters in this puzzle. When you think you know who the player is, say your name. Whoever says their name first will get to take a shot at it. Get it right. You're in $500 directly into your bank, and you get to go first in the first actual round. Ready?
So we just blurt it out.
You blurt out your name. You buzz in by yelling out your name.
Okay.
And then if you're first, we'll come to you. Okay? I'm going to go and start revealing letters.
JL.
Oh my God, I heard so many names at once.
I think I said
I like started speaking and forgot that I was supposed to say my own name. So
that's my move. Yeah.
So I think it might have been John.
Goes
there
to the
first.
guess. Goes to the guess. Tice goes to the guess.
I did hear the noise from Chris first. We were going to go to Chris. I just got thrown off because I heard, John, Joe! And then Chris,
so that's
do you know who
clearly
this is?
Josh Jacobs. I feel
This is
pretty
indeed
confident in that one.
I was going to
Josh
go Bush
Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Absolutely
So that makes
correct.
sense.
Nice job, Chris. That's going to earn you $500 into your bank. And you're going to get to go first in the next puzzle. Before we moved on from this, though, we did just get news that Josh Jacobs is not signing his franchise tag and not showing up to camp, similar to Saquon Barkley. Chris, after what we saw from Josh Jacobs this past year and now this situation, are you worried for fantasy going into next year?
A little bit, just because he was really good just on an efficiency standpoint, everything, but he was also, I believe he led all running backs in the share of his backfield's touches and snaps that he played. So like he was especially dependent on volume. If there's any change there, if they bring in an insurance policy, it's like a round 2 or 3 pick who might threaten to take a little more work, I think there could be some concerns there, but I also don't think Josh Jacobs really needs like the offseason conditioning program to get up to speed. He's, a 5-year veteran at this point. So I think he'll be fine, but it's the kind of thing where the draft could change how I feel about Josh Jacobs a little bit. He's a top 5 running back for me. I think he'll probably remain a top 5 running back, but obviously there are still some moving pieces here.
Jail, I see you nodding along there. Do you tend to agree that this tag situation, him not signing, not showing up, doesn't have too much of an impact on his value?
Yeah, I mean, he took a bet on himself this past year, right? The Raiders did not pick up his 5th-year option going into this past season. And he's like, all right, watch this. And he went off, had a fantastic season. So he really bet on himself and it paid off. I think he'll be fine this season, but Chris is absolutely right. We definitely have to wait and see for the draft because I feel like that always just shifts up the running back values.
And the other thing that I'd add is like Saquon Barkley's in literally the exact same situation. I've got him 4 at RB, and then Tony Pollard 6. He's not participating in the offseason workout programs because he's recovering from surgery, but he's in a similar spot playing on the franchise tag. I could see Bijan Robinson slotting in ahead of those guys, but this is sort of why I think this might be a good 0 RB year, just because like the running back crop is a little questionable for me this year.
Yeah. To have those guys 4, 5, 6, at least up in that range, there's some question marks that usually aren't there when you're talking about running backs in that range.
I want to say it's like not top heavy, but Bijan kind of ruins that because he's so good that he kind of makes it top heavy just by himself.
Unless he lands in Dallas, in which case it could kind of spoil 2 different guys who look like top 10. And that's my prediction. I think that's what they're going to do. It feels like a Jerry move.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so Jerry. The chat was all over this one. One Nation coming in with Josh Jacobs. Craig getting this one right with Josh Jacobs as well. Scamper so close with the Bush Bacons.
Bush Bacons.
But just not quite. Now I can't use that puzzle, Scampers. Jay, appreciate that one. Chris, you got an early lead here, but there's still game left. We'll see if your competitors can come back. But we're going to move on to our second puzzle now. You're up first. This is going to be a singer-player mashup. So this is going to be taking the name of a singer or musical artist, the name of an NFL player, and smushing them together with varying degrees of success.
Okay.
We do this with something with a TV show that we've done. Is something like Tim, Patrick, and Morty.
Sure.
Or I can't think of Boston Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was a movie one. So they can come in different varieties. You're up first, Chris. You've got two options here. Would you like to solve this puzzle or would you like to take your first question?
Definitely going to take the first question.
Okay. Here we go. Your first question. What I want to know is who had more PPR fantasy points during last season? Who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Was it Terry McLaurin or was it Garrett Wilson?
Ooh. I'm going to say it was Garrett Wilson.
I am sorry. That was Terry McLaurin, and that one was much closer than I try to usually make them, Chris. But Dale, we are on to you. Your first question. Are you ready? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I am.
There we go. Here's your first question. Who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Who had more PPR fantasy points? Was it DJ Moore or was it Brandon Ayuk?
It was Ayuk.
It was Ayuk. Which letter would you like?
B.
E as in boy.
B as in bonk.
Bonk. There is no B in that puzzle, JL, which means we are on to Joey. Joey, would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I thought I was going to no letter solve this, but I was one letter off. So no, I'm going to take a question.
Okay. Who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Who had more PPR fantasy points?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Alan Lazard or was it Zay Jones?
I'll say Lazard.
I'm sorry, it was Zay Jones.
Was it Zay?
Zay Jones was the correct answer. I started off with a hard one, so everyone got a hard one.
Tricky.
Chris,
How
we are
close
back
were
to
they?
you. They were about 30 points apart, so not super close, but not right there next to each other either.
Okay.
Chris, we're back to you. Would you like to solve this puzzle or would you like another question?
Yeah, you're going to take my question again.
Okay, my question for you is who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Who had more PPR fantasy points? Was it Deontay Johnson or was it Mike Evans?
It's got to be Mike Evans.
It does got to be Mike Evans.
Okay.
Which letter would you like?
Mike Evans.
I'm going to go with T.
T.
Oh,
there are no T's in this puzzle.
Are there any letters in this puzzle?
There's lots of letters in this puzzle, and it did. I'm not going to say anything else before I give away some. It's about to give away some puzzle analytics here to defend myself. John Luke, that means we're on to you. Would you like a question?
Yes, Papa.
Okay. Who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Was it Devonta Smith or was it T. Higgins?
Oh, no. T. Higgins.
I'm sorry. It was Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith finishing up there as a top 10 wide receiver.
Got hurt. I'm so dumb.
That's okay. You're blinded by your love. It's the jersey bleeding into your brain from behind you. We love you anyway, Shale. Look how far you made it. It's incredible.
Dumb.
We're killing this day, guys. 15 minutes into the show, no letters yet. We're doing great.
Not a single letter.
Josh Jacobs, you guys remember we were all there.
Yeah, but you were putting them up there with nobody having to guess.
That is true. That is true. Joey, you ready for your question?
Yeah, let's go.
Who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Was it Juju Smith-Schuster or was it Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Oh, man. I'll still say Juju, but I think
you would still be correct, Joey. Which letter would you like?
S.
S. There is one S in this puzzle.
You did it.
Would you like another question or you got this now?
I'm going to buy an A.
Okay. An A. There are two A's in this puzzle. Going to subtract 200. You don't have enough money to buy more vowels. So what would you like to do?
Give us more letters, Joey, and then get it wrong.
I want a question.
Okay. We're going to move away from wide receivers over to some running backs. And what I want to know is who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Was it Ramondre Stevenson or was it Alvin Kamara?
Ramondre Stevenson.
That is correct. Which letter would you like, Joey?
R.
R. There are two R's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000 to your round bank, and this is your last opportunity to buy a vowel because this will be your last question if you take it.
I'll buy an I.
An I. There are 1,
Whoa.
2, 3, 4 I's, Joey. Going to subtract 400 from your total round bank. What would you like to do now? Would you like a third and final question? Here we go.
Yeah.
Who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Was it Jerick McKinnon or was it Jonathan Taylor?
Oh, man. McKinnon had that strong run at the end of the season. I'll still say Jonathan Taylor.
I'm sorry, Joey. The strong run at the end of the season did it for McKinnon, which means, Chris, we're on to you. Would you like to solve this puzzle or would you like a question?
Yeah, let's get a question.
Okay. Who had more PPR fantasy points at the end of last season? Who had more PPR fantasy points? Was it Tony Pollard or was it DeAndre Swift?
Pollard.
Pollard is absolutely correct. Which letter would you
Oh,
like?
I got it.
I'll go with an H.
An H. There's 1 H in this puzzle. Going to add
that's the obvious one.
500.
I feel like the strategy was off there. That was an obvious one. I didn't really learn anything from that.
There could have been another H. You never know.
We'll take another question.
Another question. Who had more PPR fantasy points last season? Who had more PPR fantasy points? Was it David Montgomery or was it Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams is correct. Which letter would you like, Chris?
Let's go with L.
L.
Oh,
I am sorry.
Oh,
there are no L's in this
unbelievable.
puzzle. Who designed this puzzle?
off to a hot start, Chris.
John Luke, it's your turn.
All right, I'll take a question. I have no idea what you have done here, Simon.
You better get this right, Jill, because if not, I'm going to solve it and I'm going to win.
All right, pressure's
Just put the
on.
pressure on you. Yeah, I just want to put that on you.
Well, John Luke, with all the pressure in the world, who had more PPR fantasy points last season?
I got it.
Who had more PPR fantasy points? Was it Cam Akers or was it Dameon Pierce?
Oh, you evil little boy. Let's go with Dameon Pierce.
JL, you are absolutely correct. Which letter would you like?
Ooh, let's go with an N, please.
There are 2 N's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000. What would you like to do, John Luke?
I would like to buy a vowel.
Okay.
I would like to buy an E.
An E. There are 2 E's. Going to subtract 200.
And I would like to solve, sir.
Go ahead and solve it for me. Say it exactly as it is up there.
Nicki Minaj Harris.
This is Nicki
There you
Minaj
go.
Harris. Nice job,
Hot.
John Luke.
Good job, JL.
Well
Yeah.
done.
You did well under pressure. I didn't expect you to.
Ooh. Turned it on. What can I say?
Earn you $1,000 for solving that one. And the chat was on this one.
They knew it?
Tim came in here and got it with Nicki Minaj
Tim.
Harris, then said, nice.
What up, Tim? Nice. That was a good one, Simon.
John Luke, how are you feeling about Najee Harris heading into next season? I feel like it was Mr. Volume and low efficiency continue doing what he had done just on a worse offense. Are you expecting more of that or a bounce back with the Steelers offense hopefully improving?
Are you pointing this question towards me because I was the one all season saying, just wait, it'll be fine for Najee Harris.
No,
Don't
it's
worry about it.
it's because you solved the puzzle with his name in it, but that's a good reason
Oh,
too.
okay. That makes way more sense. Yeah. Najee Harris, I'm not worried about his talent. I think he's an incredibly talented running back. I think what we saw a lot of last year, the difficulties he had to face was his offensive line did not improve from the year previous. And then he was dealing with this injury. And so I think with another offseason, he'll probably be fine. He'll probably get back to healthy. And hopefully Tomlin and the Steelers organization make some changes to that O-line.
Chris, do you have similar optimism to John Luke here, or maybe not as optimistic about Najee Harris?
We haven't seen the explosiveness from him in the NFL, and the loss of the passing game role to Jalen Warren last season was really crucial because you can be a very good fantasy option if you're not catching a ton of passes, but you have to, break big plays routinely, and we just haven't seen that from Najee Harris. I don't know what the exact stat is, but I think he's like among the lowest in terms of like explosive play rates and stuff like that in the NFL since he joined. So I don't know. Maybe that offense. Yeah, he had one run of more than 20 yards last season. That's just it's not going to get it done unless he's going to have a huge passing game.
Not great, Bob.
And I don't know. Maybe he will. Maybe they'll go back to him, but I don't see it there.
I think Reddit would have you believe Stetson Bennett was a better running back than Najee Harris based on that metric. I went deep down a rabbit hole of two people fighting AJ McCarron versus Stetson Bennett in a Reddit thread this morning. And they were like, how many 20-plus yard runs did AJ McCarron have in college?
That just, you ever seen these two women are having a mid-off tweet? Because that's exactly what AJ McCarron versus Stetson Bennett is.
Just a mid-off. That's the college QB mid-off. The national championship winning QB mid-off.
Yeah. That's not the most Reddit thing,
right?
So
and it was like
0% surprised.
It was from
by
this
that.
morning. Know what I mean? Like they woke up and like before 9
ready
a.m.
to
they're
go.
Like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm defending Stetson Bennett.
I'm gonna ruin my day and get in a bad mood at 9 a.m. over Stetson Bennett.
But luckily, there was a very, very formidable foe on the other side, AJ McCarron.
Yeah.
What were we supposed to do? Just let him sit there undefended?
Can't.
John Luke, that's going to earn you $1,000 on that one and the lead. But we're going to move on to our next puzzle. And Joey, you are going first on this one since John Luke got that one. Oh boy, yes, you do, and it is rhyme time, baby. So how this works is we've had drinking soda with Marcus Mariota, playing clarinet with Jacoby Brissett. It's going to rhyme. There's going to be a player name in there.
I want to do that so bad still.
Which one?
The clarinet with Jacoby Brissett. It sounds delightful.
He would be so good. I can just tell.
Sunday afternoons, drinking tea, playing clarinet.
Tea, sweet, unsweet, ice, hot.
I got it all.
Anything you want. Oh my God. What an afternoon. Well, Joey, you were up first. Would you like to solve this puzzle or do you want to kick us off with a question?
I'd like to kick us off with a question.
Okay, we're going to move over to some rushing yards questions. And what I want to know is who had more rushing yards last season? Who had more rushing yards? Was it Tyler Algier or was it Ezekiel Elliott?
Algier had more than 1,000. I'm going to go Algier.
Algier is correct by almost 200 yards. Which letter would you like, Joey?
N.
N as in Nancy?
As in Nancy Drew.
There are 3 ends in this puzzle. Going to earn you $1,500. Joey, what's your move now?
My move is to take another question.
Okay. Who had more rushing yards last season? Was it A.J. Dillon or was it Taysom Hill?
Oh, this is mean. A.J. Dillon.
A.J. Dillon is correct, Joey, by a little over 100. Which letter would you like? Or a little under 200, my bad.
T.
T. There's 1 T in this puzzle.
I knew that one was going to be there. I'll take another question, please.
Okay. One more question. Who had more rushing yards last season? Was it Khalil Herbert or was it Isaiah Pacheco?
Well, rushing yards, Khalil Herbert or Isaiah Pacheco?
Yes.
I'll say Pacheco.
And you would be correct, Joey. Which letter would you like? Get this right. You're going to bank all this money.
I'll take the H.
The H. There are 2 H's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000 and you've got 5 seconds to solve.
Washing horseshoes with
David Horseshoe.
with horseshoe. Well, Chris, that means we are on to you. Would you like to solve this puzzle or would you like a question?
Yeah, I'd like a question.
And I'm pulling up the solution because I forgot what. Oh, that's right. Oh, that was stupid, Simon. Here's your question. Who had more rushing yards last season? Was it Devin Singletary or was it Antonio Gibson?
Oh, boy. Singletary.
Singletary is correct. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with P.
P. There's 1 P in this puzzle. Going to add 500 to your round bank. What would you like to do now, Chris?
We'll do another question.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were about to solve it right there. I was like,
what I want to know is who had more receiving yards last season? Was it Amari Cooper or was it Jerry Jeudy?
Ooh. That sounds like it'd be really close. I'm going to go with Jeudy.
I'm sorry. It was Amari Cooper with 1,160 to Judy's 972. But I was shocked to see Jeudy up that high. I didn't realize how close he was to 1,000.
Jeudy got to like 1,100. I didn't realize he was that low. That's on me.
He's a misleading wide receiver from last season. John Luke, that means we're moving on to you, though. Would you like a question or are you going to solve it?
Yeah. No, I need a question, please.
Who had more receiving yards last season? Who had more receiving yards? Was it Travis Kelce or was it Mike Evans?
Travis Kelce or Mike Evans? Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce's correct by about 200 yards. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with a G.
A G is in G Willikers. I hope that letter's up there.
Exactly.
Well, it is 3 times, JL. That's going to add
Got it.
1,500 to your round bank. What's the move? You want to buy a vowel? You want to solve, or would you like your second question?
I would like to solve.
Okay.
Raising chickens with George Pickens.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Wow.
JL, you are
Very
absolutely
good. Way to
correct.
go.
It is Raising Chickens with George Pickens. And the chat, in fact, did not get it, but they think they did. Dustin thought it was Feeding Chickens with George Pickens.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You got way more to do besides feeding them when you're raising a chicken, Dustin.
Yeah,
That's just one step.
Tuck them in.
Sing to them.
Read them bedtime stories.
Sing them bedtime stories.
Sing them bedtime stories.
Do chickens have that thing where they can like make people spray?
Oh, God. Yes, they do.
They do. God, animals are gross. We should eat them.
I had no idea whether that was raising or not. That was my bet, but it really could have been anything.
Joe, you brought up something about George Pickens today in Discord when we were talking a little bit earlier, saying that you saw his ADP go ahead of Deontay Johnson for the first time this offseason. I then jumped out of Discord because my microphone wasn't working. I was getting very frustrated, so I didn't hear your thoughts on that. But now, what do you think? Do you agree with that? Are you taking George Pickens ahead of Deontay Johnson?
Yes, I was doing a lot of underdog drafts over the weekend, and I noticed that Pickens was going quite a bit ahead of Deontay Johnson, and it made me. I put a note in my little notes to take a look at these two players and see, okay, should Pickens be going ahead of Johnson? And I get Johnson didn't really have any touchdowns last season, but it's kind of surprising that Pickens is going that far ahead of him. I still would probably lean Johnson, honestly.
I really struggle with Deontay Johnson. Just like getting open as often as he does is clearly a positive skill. What else does he do? Like, well, at all? Like, I don't know how much of it's his fault, right? Like, the Steelers' offense has been really dysfunctional. I think 3 straight seasons. The last 2 seasons of the Ben Roethlisberger era, I thought Kenny Pickett was pretty bad last season. So, like, how much of his low catch rate and lack of yards and low yards per attempt, yards per route run, whatever metric, whatever efficiency metric you want to look at, Deontay Johnson's going to look pretty bad in it. And when it was Ben Roethlisberger, I thought, well, okay, this is a situation where Roethlisberger doesn't trust his line's ability to stay open, to hold up in protection, does not want to get hit. I thought that was the defining feature of Ben Roethlisberger's last 2 seasons, was just like a total unwillingness to take any kind of hits. And then, so like,
forgot about that.
When you've got Deontay Johnson, who's so good at getting open, you're just going to pepper him with targets, and that's going to hurt his efficiency. But then, like last season, it's a different situation, a different quarterback, a quarterback who's a little more athletic, and it was a lot of the same issues. So I don't like, he might just be good at getting open, and that's all. And I just don't know how valuable that is for an actual NFL offense. For fantasy, it's great. He gets a bunch of targets and gets a bunch of catches, but I really struggle with like how many times can an offense keep going to a guy who's so inefficient? His catch rate is like weirdly low too for a guy who's, got a 7 or 8 yard ADOT. So I really struggle with him.
Do you feel like George Pickens? George Pickens is in that same system. Do you feel like he has the talent to supersede that at some point in his career? Do you feel like he's gonna be in the same boat? Basically,
I think it's maybe different versions of the same problem. Where Pickens is definitely a different type of receiver. I think going to excel on those downfield contested catches. I don't know if he's going to be able to get open enough to ever become a guy who challenges Deontay Johnson for the leading target getter on that team. And I would think just because he was so much more efficient last season, especially with Kenny Pickett, that there will be a bit of a changing of the guard. But I don't know. I feel like people have been waiting for Deontay Johnson to not be the number one target on that offense for a couple of years now. And it doesn't happen because, again, he gets open so often that, like, as a quarterback, when the guy's open as often as Deontay Johnson, you're going to throw it to him. It's just good things don't tend to happen when he's open. It's a tough riddle to solve. And I kind of just think I want to stay away from that offense entirely next season.
I was about to say, it sounds like the least exciting wide receiver one in fantasy. If you can guarantee, and then the least exciting wide receiver too. If you can guarantee the other guy's going to be open, but he's not going to do anything with it, then
I've got them back to back. I just did my post free agency rankings. I've got them back to back. It's like wide receiver 38 and 39. So I really don't have much interest in them.
Well, Scott Vision here in the chat has interest in something else. Thinks Joey should maybe have a full-time spot on the show. Said, hey guys, passing thought. I keep seeing Joey on this stream. Have you thought about giving him a full-time role? Just something that popped in my head for the first time. Thought I'd share the idea.
Never once thought about that, Scott.
Yeah.
Probably won't consider it any more than this, but thanks for bringing it up.
Weird that he's in here every day, and I've never even had that thought once.
I think it's a great idea, Scott. It's really annoying having to go to my fax machine every morning and I have to sign a new contract every day. I'm signing 1-day contracts. It's like I'm retiring from FYF every single day.
We're not sending those to you. I don't know where you're getting those. I would read the fine print on those contracts, Joe. Chris starts laughing. He's like, they're from me.
Oh my God. That reminds me. I was talking to some family friends this weekend, visiting some family friends, and they were telling me about the story about how they're cleaning the person who came and cleans their house for 20 years was tricked by a scammer who hacked one of their Facebooks and said, oh, I need $500 in gift cards. And they were like, that wasn't us, but we got scammed on Facebook. We would never ask you for money. We'd never done that. She would not believe them. She was like, nope, you scammed me.
Oh, no.
You took my money. And I was like blown away that she did not understand Facebook scams or internet scams, I guess, in general.
No.
Oh, that's sad.
I know.
So she got scammed out of money and a friendship.
Yeah. I had a job, I guess, for 23 years.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Yeah,
but not a story on the Front Yard Fantasy YouTube channel. That's
here we go. Yeah, super happy show.
Congratulations.
It's funnier in my head.
Also, Dustin said, Simon, make sure Joey knows I posted hashtag Team Joey when I got here. Joey, I'd like to pass this message from Dustin along to you.
Yeah. I'm going to go check the chat. So
you're going to move
I'm not allowed in there yet.
To our next puzzle now. Our next puzzle is called Drafted Same Round. These are going to be players that were drafted in the same round of the NFL draft. Not necessarily the same year, but the same round. Last names only, and we've got 4 last names listed here.
Oh, boy.
You're going to have to tell them to me in the order that they are listed, and then you're going to get the points. You guys ready?
Yep.
I got to really step up here, so it's getting kind of embarrassing.
Joey got 3,000 in one turn somehow. Just like he didn't even solve the puzzle.
I was cheating, I think, if I remember correctly.
No, I was guessing letters that were on the board a lot while you guys were getting red spots everywhere.
I feel like I'm screwing up here because I've never been a Wheel of Fortune guy. It always Jeopardy ends and I'm done. I turn the TV on, and so I'm kind of out of my element here.
So what you're saying is you'd like to come back and come on Jeopardy.
Exactly. Thanks, that's exactly it.
We have that game too.
Would be more comfortable with the feud. Wheel of Fortune, not my wheelhouse.
Wheelhouse. We'll put you in the Jeopardy house next time, Chris. But we'll see if you can pull ahead on this puzzle. Joey, you are up first since JL solved that one. Would you like a question? Would you like?
I would like a question.
Okay, who had more receiving yards last season? Was it TJ Hawkinson or was it Jacoby Myers?
TJ Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkinson's correct by 110 yards. What letter would you like, Joey?
I would like an R.
R. There are 2 R's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000. You can buy a vowel, you can solve, or you can take another question.
I want to give
solve it, coward.
No, I'm not going to. I am a coward. Yes. Question, please.
Okay. According to the FanDuel Sportsbook, which of these players is more likely to win MVP next season, to win AP NFL regular season MVP? Is it Tua Tagovailoa or is it Jared Goff?
This is tricky because the Lions are favored to win their division. I don't believe the Dolphins are. I would imagine the Bills are still favored. Oh, man, I still feel like I'm going to say Tua because it feels right.
Joey, you win against all of the reasonings you laid out, and you were right. It is Tua at plus 1,600 versus Jared Goff at plus 2,500. Which letter would you like?
I want a T.
T. There are two
Yay, I
T's
got
in
one.
this puzzle. Going to add
I got
another
two, actually.
grand. This is your last opportunity to buy a vowel, or we can take your third and final question, or you can solve.
Now, do you have the 2023 rookies in here for the draft that they're going in? Because if you do, we need to go to FanDuel Sportsbook. But I want another question, please.
FanDuel board.
FanDuel Sportsbook.
You mean the ones that haven't been drafted yet? You're
Yes,
asking if I
because
haven't
then you
been
would be
drafted
a
same round
soothsayer.
category.
I was trying to make a joke and it fell flat.
Oh, and it went right
really,
over my
really
head.
flat. just really whiffed on that one, Joey. Just awful. Question, please.
My bad.
Those are the best.
So here's your third question. My question for you is, who had more receiving touchdowns last season? Who had more receiving touchdowns? Was it Jerick McKinnon or was it Tyreek Hill?
Oh, man. This just seems like it's Tyreek Hill.
Jerick McKinnon had 9 receiving
Wow.
touchdowns to Tyreek Hill 7, Joey. I am
What?
sorry.
That is a
No way.
crazy
You're making that
question.
up.
I am looking at it right now.
Wow.
Jerick McKinnon, 9 receiving
real?
touchdowns. Unless-
Career, right?
Yeah, they have Jerick
Wow.
McKinnon career stats
Wow.
accidentally mixed in with the rest of the 2022 receiving stats.
Our bad.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, what a stat pull.
I know. So I just pulled out this
Wow.
like wild stat out of nowhere.
I'm questioning if
Should get a
if I'm reading this right now, but that looks right. Chris, that means we're on to you. Are you ready for your next question, or would you? like
Yeah,
to
we'll do a
solve this?
question.
Okay. We're gonna do some receiving yards. Who had more receiving yards last season? Who had more receiving yards? Was it Jalen Waddle or was it DK Metcalf?
I'm gonna go with Metcalf.
I'm sorry, it was Jalen Waddle
This
with more
is
receiving yards. Up there
Really,
with 1356.
Chris looks like he's about to punch you in the
Yeah,
face.
I'm gonna punch myself. I'm just embarrassed. I'm not mad at anyone else. I'm just disappointed.
JL,
Sometimes it just happens in this game, Chris, or you get on a streak where a bad streak and you're just stuck.
Just
and the worst part about
unacceptable.
Fortune with the 50-50s is you stop thinking about the answer and you start trying to play the person asking you the questions. Like, what would they want?
Yes.
Honestly,
Yeah,
what it
every time.
was just like I just looked at Jalen Waddle's stats, and for some reason I thought he was at like 1,100 receiving yards, and I completely blanked on how much he got to. I think that was, I want to say that's the second most in Dolphins franchise history after Tyreek Hill.
At 1,700 this same season.
Dang.
Doing it in 1
That's
year.
wild.
Maybe that's why Tua's a little higher than Goff there in those MVP favorite ratings. If you got two guys that can combine for 3,000 yards, no problem.
It's pretty good.
Pretty all right. John Luke, are you ready for your next question?
Yeah.
Who had more receiving yards last season? Who had more receiving yards last season? Was it Christian Kirk or was it Michael Pittman Jr.?
It was Christian
That
Kirk.
is correct. Which letter would you like?
I'll go with a D. Give me the D.
Give you the D. There's one D in here, Jay. I'm going to add 500 to your round bank. Would you like to buy any vowels? Would you like another question or would you like to solve?
I will take some vowels.
Okay. Which
I'll take an A.
there are two A's in this puzzle.
I'll take another question.
Okay. My question for you is, who had more receiving touchdowns last season? Who had more receiving touchdowns last season? Was it Justin Jefferson or was it Jacoby Myers?
Jefferson?
Jefferson's correct. Didn't fall for the double trick. Which letter would you like, JL?
I'll go with an N.
There's one N in this puzzle. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels if you would like to do so.
Yeah, I'll buy a vowel. I'll buy an E.
An E. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 E's in here.
I'll take another question.
Okay, this is your third and final question. My question for you, JL, is which of these players is more likely to win the 2023-24 AP NFL regular season MVP? Is it Russell Wilson or is it Jordan Love?
Russell Wilson?
I'm sorry, it is Jordan Love at plus 3,000 compared to Russell Wilson at plus 4,000. They love Jordan Love.
Oh my
He
God.
gets-
Who's making that
he gets
bet?
bumped up there. Chris, are you throwing anything on Jordan Love MVP next season?
Not particularly, but I could see him having a decent year. I don't know how much to separate last year's Packers offense being so mediocre from just Aaron Rodgers didn't play well.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's always fun to watch like an aging great on TV because like the announcers will always try to tiptoe around the obvious that like Aaron Rodgers just didn't play well last season, but nobody would ever actually come out and say it on the broadcast. So I could see that team taking a big step forward, and they certainly have the talent to win like 13 games. I could see a scenario where Jordan Love has a good season and ends up in the discussion, but no, it seems like a real long shot.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And I guess we're still waiting on the Aaron Rodgers situation to settle. Like it still isn't settled. There's still more to be done there. Joey, we're back to you. Would you like a question here, or would you like to solve?
I think I have it, but I'm not positive on the last one. So I'm going to have to take a question.
Okay. My question for you, Joey, is which of these teams had more passing yards during the regular season? Which of these teams had more passing yards? Was it the Minnesota Vikings or was it the Dallas Cowboys?
Last year?
Last season, yeah. No, ever.
I'll go Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings are correct. Top 5 in the league. Which letter would you like, Joey?
L.
There are 2 L's in this
Glad I
puzzle.
didn't try to solve. Okay. Let's have some fun and buy some vowels. I'm going to buy an O.
There are 1, 2, 3 O's in this puzzle. We're going to subtract 300.
I would like to solve.
Okay. Say them in order as they appear.
Tony.
The last one's Cooter, Joey.
What'd you say? The last one's Cooter?
The last.
Damn it.
Yeah.
You stole my joke. No, I didn't even have that as a joke. Tony, because I've been bombing my jokes today. Ayuk, Treadwell, and Cooper.
Joey, it is Tony, Ayuk, Treadwell, Cooper,
nice.
all first-round wide receivers, and you're going to bank all of that money.
I pulled the JL. I got a piece of paper out and wrote them down as I went along. You've created a monster.
Kadarius Toney at the end of last season created some excitement, at least in fantasy. I don't know how much fantasy value he actually produced, but there was the excitement of a former first-round draft pick going to the high-powered Kansas City Chiefs offense. What can he do there? Joey, do you have any excitement going into next season for Toney based on what we saw last year?
I don't imagine the Chiefs come out of this draft without taking a wide receiver, but if they come out of this draft without taking like a day one wide receiver, I'll be relatively excited about Toney. I mean, he's in that probably the most high-powered offense that you could be in the NFL with the Chiefs. I'm happy to take him in the mid rounds for sure.
Excuse me, Chris. Do you feel similarly whenever we're talking about Toney? Because I want to be excited. He's the kind of player that whenever you watch him, you want him on your fantasy teams because every time he touches the ball, it's exciting. But is he going to touch the ball enough in that Kansas City offense?
That was the issue. Is he was running like, even when things were going well, he was running like 15, 25% of the snaps for them. Has never showed the ability to stay healthy, has never really, even going back to college, wasn't like a super huge usage guy. So like, I do have questions about how well he'll hold up. On the other hand, like you said, it's an offense that's going to throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. And, you know, Travis Kelce is amazing. He's also going to be 34 in week 4. So like, there's got to be an opportunity for someone. I mean, I'm working on we're doing our sleepers, breakouts, and busts 1.0 this week for the Fantasy Football Today newsletter. And
nice.
I think Dave, Jamie, and Heath, I'm sure you guys know those guys. You don't need last names. I think they all have at least one of Toney or Sky Moore in their sleepers. And the logic makes sense. It's just, you know, we saw last season, Juju Smith-Schuster got 111 targets in 15 games or something. Like, that was the only guy who had more than 81 targets besides Travis Kelce. So are either Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney going to step into the Juju Smith-Schuster role? Is it just going to be spread out? I don't have either Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney inside my top 40 at wide receiver right now. So there's a pretty good chance based on how things are going that I'm just not going to end up drafting either of them. And there'll be a little FOMO there for sure.
What was the Patrick Mahomes quote at the beginning of last season? Here it is. Every single week, it's going to be someone different. So I'm sorry to all you fantasy football guys. It's going to come from everywhere. So you're going to have to kind of choose the right guy every week. And it feels like the same game this year. And he told us that last year, and he wasn't lying. 111 targets to your top option.
101 for Smith Schuster in 16 games. Yeah.
It's absurd. It's right
amount.
that he told us exactly what their plan was, and they executed it. So I'm expecting more of that this coming year. I think I lean Tony over more, but we'll see.
I think so. He's shown more in the NFL for sure.
Now, I know there's a contingency out there that prefers Ayuk over Deebo Samuel in fantasy going into next year. Joey is a member of that fan club.
Posting polls about it and everything.
Joey, what about Ayuk gives you the confidence to put him over someone like Deebo, who we've seen put up an elite wide receiver season?
Now,
for fantasy?
it's a very small sample size. I'm speaking just for fantasy. Once Christian McCaffrey got there, I don't want to say Deebo fell off a cliff because that's not accurate at all. But Ayuk's numbers went up a little bit and Deebo's went down a little bit. Now, this offense could shake itself out. Deebo gets more targets next year and everything's safe and sound. But they're going 40 spots apart right now if you look at NFC ADP. And I don't think they should be going that far apart. So maybe I'm not taking Ayuk over Deebo. I'm just letting someone else take Deebo and then taking Ayuk, just waiting to get Ayuk.
I think that's totally fair given how the last season ended. I'm a little bit more hesitant. I don't feel as strongly about buying into their game plans towards the end of last season going forward. It feels like Shanahan was in that like space where he wanted to win the Super Bowl. I mean, this is a guy who's been the head coach for that team for a good amount of time. Mm-hmm. And they made moves to make that happen. They sold the farm to make a run this year. And so I think once the dust is settled, we'll see Deebo kind of settle back into that wide receiver one role. Probably won't have the rushing upside with the Christian McCaffrey.
How many games have we seen like a fully healthy version of this 49ers offense? I'm including Brock.
Feels like zero.
Like maybe a full game if you piece together the quarters.
Yeah, like that's the thing is Deebo had was it a foot injury again last season?
He missed 3 of the last 4 games. I believe. Obviously,
Purdy's coming back from the elbow injury. We don't know what to expect there. McCaffrey, was healthy last season, but he's missed time. That's one of the toughest offenses. I refer a lot to the 49ers math problem where you just like, you try to get everyone to like, if you do projections, you try to get everyone to like where they're ranked. And it's really hard to do just because there's so few, like you have to really finagle like, okay, Deebo's going to get 100 carries and that's how he'll get there while Ayuk is also very good. And don't forget McCaffrey needs 250 carries and Elijah Mitchell, when he was healthy, was getting 10 to 12 carries per game, even after the McCaffrey trade, although Elijah Mitchell was barely healthy. And then Trey Lance might be the quarterback. And it's just like, I think it might be the toughest offense because unlike the Steelers, the stakes are incredibly high for the 49ers offense. This is an awesome offense that ideally you want a lot of exposure to. I don't know how to get there in a way that makes sense.
You just gave me so much anxiety for Kyle Shanahan.
I mean, it's a great problem to have. I feel like it's going to make his job easier as long as, he can handle the complaints about not getting consistent touches. That's the toughest thing about being the 49ers coach right now, I feel like.
I'm imagining he does it the way that analysts are doing it. They're like, he sets up his stat projections for all of his players for the year and then starts drawing out the playbook for each game. Like, oh, shoot, Deebo's 100 yards behind pace. How am I going to get him back up to speed each and every week?
I mean, I just hope we have clarity on Purdy's status for week 1, because then that's just going to make it so much more difficult, because if Purdy's the quarterback, at least like he's not going to run. So you don't have to, if Trey Lance is the quarterback, he might run 12 times a game, 15 times a game. And that just makes it so much more difficult. If Trey Lance is the quarterback for that team in week 1, I may not have any exposure to anyone on that offense just because it's going to be too much of a headache.
Yeah.
Not even Trey Lance?
Fair.
Well, maybe Trey Lance. Yeah.
I was going to say like maybe Trey Lance if he's running around over there. Well, guys, we got time for one more puzzle here before the end of the show. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. And it is a new favorite category of mine. The vehicle player mashup. So this is going to be the make and model of a vehicle combined with the player's name. We've had like the Ford Bronco Comet was one that we had in the past. So take that, try to find the player name in the car in here. And if you get it, you're going to win some points. Joey, you solved that last one correct, right?
Yes.
Which means, Chris, we are starting with you. Would you like to solve this puzzle or would you like your first question?
Let's do a question.
Okay. What I want to know is who had more rushing yards last season? Who had more rushing yards last season? Was it Christian McCaffrey or was it Ezekiel Elliott?
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is absolutely correct. Which letter would you like?
Let's start with T.
T. There's one T in this puzzle. Going to add 500 to your round bank. Would you like to buy a vowel, take another question, or solve this puzzle?
Let's get another question.
Okay, who had more rushing yards last season? Who had more rushing yards last season? Was it Justin Fields or was it Austin Eckler?
Oh, I'm going to go with Fields, but I feel like I'm outsmarting myself.
You just smarted yourself enough, Chris. It is Fields with 1,143 to Eckler's 915. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with an N.
An N. There's one N in this puzzle.
Not super
Slowly but surely revealing some letters. Would you like your third and final question, or would you like
Let's
to buy
do
a
a
vowel
question.
here?
Yep.
Okay. Third question. We'll stick with some rushing yards. Who had more rushing yards last season? Who had more rushing yards last season? Was it Jeff Wilson Jr. or was it Travis Etienne Jr.?
Travis Etienne.
That is correct by about 200 yards. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with S.
S. There are 3 S's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,500 to your round bank. You've got 5 seconds to solve. This money is going into your bank regardless, but we'll give you those 5 seconds.
Oh, boy. I got nothing.
So close, but you're going to bank that $2,500.
Yeah.
Up to 3,000 and ahead of John Luke. JL, it is your turn. Would you like a question? Would you like to solve, or would you like to do a little dance for us?
I'm pretty sure I have it solved.
Okay.
Damn it.
Wow.
But I can't beat Joey. I can't beat Joey if I just solve it right now. And so I got to take a question.
Okay. Dale, my question for you is who had more rushing yards last season? Who had more rushing yards last season? Was it James Cook or was it Lamar Jackson?
Oof.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson's correct. And that was an inadvertently
836.
brutal question. 764.
Dang,
It's never going to happen again.
Chris, I randomly was making a joke and I just said a random string of numbers for Josh Allen's passing yards last season. Spot on.
Way to go.
I don't know how it happened.
In there.
Oh, all right. I got that right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. I'll go with an L.
L is in loser.
L is in loser.
Well, there are 3 L's in this puzzle. We're going to add 1,500 to your round bank. Would you like to buy a vowel? Would you like to take another question, or would you like to solve?
I will take another question.
Okay.
Please.
My question for you is who had more passing yards last season? Who had more passing yards last season? Was it Jared Goff or was it Daniel Jones?
Goff.
Yeah, that's right. Which letter would you like?
I got
I'm
it.
going to go with, you got it now?
I figured it out now. Yeah, I'm the slow guy.
I'll go with an R.
R. There are 2 R's in this puzzle, JL. That is going to add another 1,000 and
Ooh.
how many letters are up here? 1, 2.
Oh, man, he
3,
could
4,
win.
5. So, JL, this is your last opportunity to buy a vowel, or you can take another question.
I will take another question.
Okay. My question for you, John Luke, is who had more passing touchdowns last season? Who had more passing touchdowns last season? Was it Trevor Lawrence or was it Andy Dalton?
What was the stat?
Passing touchdowns.
Passing touchdowns. Andy Dalton or Trevor Lawrence. I'll go with Trevor Lawrence.
It is Trevor Lawrence.
It's gotta be,
Which
yeah.
letter would you like?
God, I
JL?
thought he was tricking me. I'll go with I don't think it matters. They got lost either way. But I will go with the D.
A D. There's 1 D in this puzzle. We're going to add another 500. John Luke, you've got 5 seconds to solve this.
Ford to Russell Wilson.
This is the Ford to Russell Wilson.
Ford Taurus Soul Wilson.
To Russell Wilson.
Wilson. That's a hard one. That's a good one.
It's
Though,
definitely
Yeah.
hard to say, but it is not hard to spell, and that's why it's up there. John Luke, that is going to earn you that $3,000, putting you 200 behind Joey. Joey,
I feel like the Avengers, right? When they had Thanos all sitting there, and then freaking Chris Pratt ruins it all. That's what I feel.
Should have
like
gone for the head.
Should have gone for the head.
Well, JL, do you think this forward to Russell Wilson's gonna run next year, or are we looking at?
No, they're gonna take it off the market. Terrible sales. Yeah.
You could have bought a U, right? I think I'm trying to do the math here. I think you would have pulled ahead by 100 if you had bought a U.
It would have cost me.
It would have cost because it's a vowel.
Yeah, but then you would have gotten 2. You would have gotten 1,000 for
the
it,
U's
right?
don't count for the. You don't get any points.
Yeah,
for them.
you just take money away.
Again, exposing my lack of knowledge of Wheel of Fortune.
Scott Fish in the chat with if it is for Russell Wilson, spelled correctly.
Well, it is,
and we got it. Dustin in here with it, and Tim with Ford truck. Brandon Ayuk. That was so close, so close. And Dustin with the Ford Escortland Sutton. That's another good one. Pretty good down there in the chat.
Shouldn't have wasted that.
I know.
One.
I should have saved that one for next time.
That one's good.
Chris, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and play this game with us on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to completely embarrass myself.
You did not embarrass yourself. You embarrassed Joey.
Okay, good.
I won. How am I embarrassed?
All those jokes you told.
That was embarrassing. That was bad. Yeah,
that was pretty embarrassing. Not gonna lie.
Forget that.
We're just we're setting up the story arc where you come back for Jeopardy.
Yeah, gotta come back for Jeopardy or
for
Fantasy Feud, something like that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody watching, if you are not already following our friend Chris, go and follow him on Twitter at Towers of CBS. It is right there below his handsome face on the screen.
Right, over here. Yeah, that's the one.
Gets it every time.
And make sure you guys subscribe over there to their Fantasy Football Today newsletter as well. It's fun waking up with that in your inbox. So make sure you guys sub over there. And if you're watching us and you enjoyed this, great news. We're going to be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on Front Yard Fantasy and on Better Sports Network.
Chris, am I going to be back tomorrow?
You're going to be back tomorrow, at least for
one day contract.
One more day?
Yeah. Check your fax machine. Chris will send you a new one later tonight. That's going to be it for us today. Another huge thanks to our friend Chris. Thank you to everybody in the chat for coming in and hanging out with us. We will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Until then, though, we are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Where is that? There it is.
Nailed it.